Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
Welcome to the TCMMA podcast. I'm your host, Chris Cross, and today we're getting into UFC Vegas 97 previews and predictions. This is Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady in the main event, right? Welterweight division. So we got all that coming here very soon. But first, we got to get to some news. And you know it's an exciting day for me because Hamza is in the news. Hamza will dominate Robert. Definitely finish Adesanya, says Kyle Baralho. Okay, I'm with it. Hey, I like it, man. I like it.
Yes! Yes!
Finally, we get someone that's on Team Hamza. And you know I'm rocking with that. Got him number one on the dude list for a reason. Also, Robert Whittaker, Chimaev win will show that he's the best in the world. He believes with a win, it proves that I am the best in the world, says Robert Whittaker. So, you know, we got both of those guys going back and forth in the news, obviously. You got Bilal Muhammad saying he wants Usman as first title defense. And also, after dropping John Jones' GOAT promo, Dana White really excited about AI doing the UFC rankings. So those are some of the headlines before we get to the UFC Vegas 97 predictions. So everybody hold on. They're coming. And there's some good fights this week too. There's some good fights. Just hold your horses. Now back to the top. We can dig into a little more detail. Hamza will dominate Robert and finish Adesanya, says Kyle Baralho. I agree 100%. And there's no disagreeing on this one. I believe he can finish both those guys. I mean, I just believe that he can come in there and easily finish both of those guys. But will he do it? That's the question. And how will he do it, right? How will he finish these two? I mean, it's you got to finish Robert Whittaker by submission, and you got to KO Adesanya. And then all the naysayers just...
Oh my God, bro.
Because then what do you say? Then you just got to say all those guys are washed up. Burns is washed up. Usman's washed up. Whittaker's washed up. Adesanya's washed up, right? I mean, when you get that list, I don't care. I mean, two of them got to not be washed up out of the four. But if Hamza runs a table like that, those are some big names on your resume. I don't care what anyone says. And then he's headed for the title. So that's where we're at. And Kyle Baralho seems to think that that's what's going to happen, saying, I've never seen any other guy in my life that trains as much as he trains. So Baralho is saying that Hamza Chimaev just trains and trains and trains. See this guy in the gym, I mean, he's just out working people. And maybe that's why he got sick. Maybe, who knows? I mean, you're depleting your body when you're doing all that stuff. You're really going after it. This is why I like the guy, because regardless of all that's happened in the last 3 or 4 years with missing fights and just for whatever reason, getting injuries in fights but still winning, you know, then the guy's training to be the best. This is why I like him, because even though we've had all this time off, I still believe when we see Hamza in the octagon, he's coming. And he's unstoppable, as far as I'm concerned. And then Robert Whittaker believes that with a win that he's the best middleweight in the world, and I don't disagree with that. Because I think even if Hamza were to go down, I would have to say, hey, listen, Robert Whittaker's for real, and they're going to have to give this guy a title shot. That's just what it is. But make no mistake, all the trash I talk, right, about Hamza, when that fight comes on, I'm a nervous wreck. Because I'm like, hey, if Hamza goes down, everybody's coming for me in the comment section. I mean, it'll probably be the record for comments in a single day because we've been talking about Hamza. So I'm highly nervous. And that's why when he wins, I go crazy. It's like it's a relief when it finally happens. But Hamza to the moon. Hamza's getting the win. He's going to keep on winning, and he's beating everyone in front of him. And he's getting the title by the time he's 32, 33. That's what we're hoping. 31 preferably, but 32 or 33, we'll take that as well. And then let's see what can happen for a good 3-year run, because you go from 30, which he is now, to 36, 37 real quick, and then you start to go downhill. So his time is coming, and he's got to make it happen now. That's why I think he's going to win. That's what it is. Bilal Muhammad calls for Usman as first title defense. So is this good for... See, that there's another division. And I was thinking about this today. I didn't have enough time to process it and dig deep in my mind, but there's another division that's going through this too. And it's like, okay, let's just say you fight Usman and Usman wins. Well, then we already know Leon Edwards can beat Usman. So it's just like a risk to take. Like, and I don't know that Usman can't win that fight. I mean, Bilal Muhammad's looking like he's on a different level than I personally anticipated in the last fight. But there's nothing wrong with Usman getting a title shot. And a guy like Muhammad wants to beat him just to, push him to the side and not have to, you beat Usman and you're Bilal, you don't have to worry about him anymore. I mean, you have to make a major turnaround over the next 3 or 4 fights and beat everybody to get back to Bilal. So you beat Usman now, you get rid of him. Okay. Maybe he's slightly going downhill, so you think the time is now. Let's just go ahead and finish it off now, and then move on with all these, and really buy some time for before the Shavkat Rakhmonovs and Ian Garys of the world start coming knocking on the door, right? Buy some time. Fight the older generation. Get them out the way. Buy yourself some time to get better. And that's not a bad idea for Bilal Muhammad. After dropping John Jones' Go promo, Dana White says he's really excited about AI determining the UFC rankings. And what does this mean? How would AI do this? Okay, it's not going to be reporters or whoever, or the who is doing the rankings now? A few people do the rankings, whether it's, I don't know if it's media, reporters, whatever, but the rankings are done, and then now you're going to integrate AI. So someone's going to have to be behind the coding for that. So what's their angle? Is there any future projection involved, or is it just simply what happened in your last fight and recent fights? And John Jones is at the center of all this, right? And I think the problem and the reason why John Jones is not #1 pound for pound right now, although Dana White believes he should be, is because of inactivity. But at the same time, then when he comes to fight, it's like, okay, he was a light heavyweight champ, the heavyweight champ, and the only fight he ever lost was, it shouldn't have been a loss, right? So, I mean, he didn't lose the fight. I mean, he won the fight, but he, whatever, got disqualified. So he's basically undefeated, so I get it. But then, if AI is doing the rankings, how long can you sit there and not fight before you start to go down? So in the coding, there's got to be something in AI with, okay, well, the guy hasn't fought in a year and a half or however long, and you start to slide in the rankings because of time as well. So if there's not that factor in there, then John Jones would probably be #1. But if you factor in that there's a lot of inactivity here, then maybe he's not #1. So it's very interesting, and I don't think AI solves anything. I think someone's got to program this stuff to happen, and whoever is inside on the programming is going to determine the future, but you may not always like the programming that you set up. Like in this situation, John Jones is #1. Okay. Well, 5 years down the line, there's going to be some guy that decides not to fight for 3 years, and he's still #1. And then people are it's going to be a problem. So, it will be interesting to see how all that plays out. It just will be, because who knows which way it goes. So those are some of the main topics. But listen, we're here to get into UFC Vegas 97 in the lead up to Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. Let's just dive into the first one because it's fresh on my mind. It's the last one we did because it's a late entry by Cody Durden. He's taking on Matt Schnell, flyweight division fight. Let's get to it first and right now. In the flyweight division at UFC Vegas 97, Matt Schnell gets a replacement fighter, a guy on just a very short, few days notice, Cody Durden. So let's just jump right in. Matt Schnell is 1 inch taller at 5'8". He's got a 3-inch reach advantage, 70 to 67. Schnell fights right-handed. Durden fights southpaw or left-handed. So opposite stance fighters. Matt Schnell has the edge in striking. Roughly 4 significant strikes per minute to 3 for Durden. So that's like 15, right, over the course of a 15-minute fight. In terms of the takedowns, that's where Durden is going to lean heavy, I believe, in this fight. He lands over roughly a takedown and a half per round. So over 3 rounds, he's getting 4 or 5. That's a problem. Matt Schnell, 50% takedown defense. That's a problem. Schnell lost to Steve Erceg, Matthias Nicolau, Brandon Royval, Rogerio. Well, that was a no contest. So he's lost 3 of the last 4. He did happen to beat Sue Mudarji. Even though he trailed 58 to 47 in significant strikes, he did have 2 takedowns to none. But just looking at his numbers, he's not landing a lot of significant strikes, despite his average is coming way down. So the trend is different than the average in this one. Now Cody Durden, coming off the loss to Bruno Silva, okay, right, just getting in 28 significant strikes, lost to Tagir Ulanbekov. He actually outstruck Tagir, but lost that fight, obviously. Before that, he beat Jake Hadley, Charles Johnson, Carlos Mata, JP Bai. So it's not like he's incapable of winning. The guy is certainly capable of winning. He just had 2 setbacks. Matt Schnell seems more like this is a trend. He's lost 3 of the last 4. Even though Durden's taken this on short notice, which is, sometimes a problem. I still like Cody Durden to win. I'm going to have to root for takedowns in this fight and root for the takedown defense of Matt Schnell not to work, which is hard for me because I want to see the striker get off, right? But at the same time, I got to be realistic and say, hey, Matt Schnell's takedown defense is not that good, and Cody Durden's takedown offense is excellent. So this is going to be a problem for Matt Schnell, in my opinion. I like Cody Durden to win, likely by decision. To 17-6 here, flyweight division, UFC Vegas 97. Yeah, and it's a tough pick too because Cody Durden's coming in on late notice, so you got to factor that in, right? How much of an effect does that have? Sometimes it's an advantage per se, or you can make the argument because he doesn't have all the stress of having to get ready. It's just like boom, it's here. When you got a long camp and all this, it's different. Sometimes it's refreshing for a guy just to go in and take a fight on late and just get in there and get some work. Get in there and get some work. And I think that's why Durden has an advantage. Durden's getting the fight on late notice, of course. Matt Schnell has to change opponents. So, yeah, he's ready training camp-wise, but now he's got a different opponent. So how does that factor in? There's all these factors. So I'm leaning towards Cody Durden in this one. Now, we're just going to jump around because I'm not even looking at the order today. Let's get to an interesting one here between Trevor Peek and Yanal Ashmouz. For some reason, this fight is trending. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know who you think's going to win this fight. There's people going back and forth on this fight, and I'm highly intrigued. Peek versus Ashmouz. Let's get into it. In the lightweight division at UFC Vegas 97, you gotta love it. Love the lightweight division. Always tough predictions. You got Trevor Peek taking on Yanal Ashmouz. Trevor Peek 9-2, Yanal 7-1. Both guys stand 5'9". Both guys 29 years old. Okay. Peek 2-inch reach advantage. He's a switch stance fighter. Ashmouz fights right-handed. So favor Peek in that one for sure. Also significant strikes per minute. It's Peek with 4.6 per minute. Ashmouz 3.1. And Peek lands more takedowns, nearly 2 every 3 rounds. Yanal is slightly less than 1. So that's going to be important. Yanal's takedown defense will be important too, and it's just 50%. So, keep that in your hip pocket. Now, Peek lost to Charlie Campbell by decision in his last fight. That's not a good look. Before that, he beat Muhammad Yahya by decision, okay. Lost to Chepe Mariscal, pretty good fighter by decision, and won 2 in a row against Eric Gonzalez. by KO, and he KO'd Malik Lewis at the Contender Series. So coming out of the Contender Series, he's 2-2 in the UFC. All right, so we'll see if he's going to pick it up and get going. Ash Moose, on the other hand, lost to Chris Duncan by decision, beat Sam Patterson by KO at UFC 286. That was back last March 2023, or the previous March. Seems like March was yesterday. But nonetheless, so he hasn't had, much action or many fights. So, this is an interesting one to predict. Of course, it's going to be a close fight. It's close in the odds. But I still like Trevor Peek to get the job done here. I just think he's better. The numbers look that way. He's still 2-2 since coming out of the Contender Series. You like guys that come through that. 3-1 would be better than 2-2, but he's still getting the experience and he's going to keep getting better. And this is a fight he's got to prove himself, and I think he will, to move to 10-2 on significant strikes, lightweight division, UFC Vegas, 97. Yeah, it's a lightweight division fight, and that makes sense now as to why this fight is trending. It's one of the best divisions, if not the best, in the UFC. A lot of action when these guys go at it, toughest fights to predict, and that's why I'm dragging it out for 30 seconds while I talk, looking at the numbers again and trying to make a decision, because and then if it's very close and I don't have an angle, I'll look at the odds, and then the odds are even, and it's like, oh boy, might as well just pick one here. And Trevor Peek, but very, very close. Very, very close. Now in a moment we're going to get to some of the other fights in the prelims, but another good fight here I want to get to right now is Rong Zhu versus Chris Padilla. This looks like a really good fight. Looks like it's going to be action-packed and really could go either way. So let's get into this one right now. In the lightweight division at UFC Vegas 97, you got Rong Zhu taking on Chris Padilla. And this is always the toughest division to make predictions. Rong Zhu, believe it or not, 25-5. That's crazy. Padilla, 14-6. Both guys 5'9". Padilla's 28. That's still young. Rong Zhu, 24. That's really young. Padilla, 3-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Rong Zhu has a big edge in striking. Pretty much doubles up Padilla, 5.5 significant strikes per minute to 2.6 for Padilla. So that's big time. Also, he lands like 2 takedowns every 3 rounds. Padilla doesn't have many fights just yet in the UFC, so he's landing like 3 takedowns on average per round. So that's ridiculous. Rong Zhu, 85% takedown defense. So that's going to be the test here. Rong Zhu won Road to UFC Season 2 by submission. Before that, he won some fights leading up to that. And, he was fighting in the UFC, right? He lost Ignacio Bahamondes by submission, beat Brandon Jenkins by KO, and lost his UFC debut to Kazula Vargas, which seems like forever ago. That was 2021. So in a UFC setting, if you count the road to UFC, he's 4-2. He's 4-2. So the guy's got some experience. Padilla. Again, there's 9 takedowns because he's got 1 UFC fight, a win over James Yontop by submission, where he had 3 takedowns in the first round. So you take that 3 and you multiply it by 3, and he's averaging 9 per 3 rounds, which is ridiculous. That number will come way down. So big question is, will Rong Zhu be able to defend takedowns? And he has done very well in that department, and he's 30 fights in. So this is going to be a highly interesting fight. I just think Rong Zhu's got the experience right now. Padilla could surprise everybody. I wouldn't be surprised. But Rong Zhu's got the experience. I'm not going against the guy with 30 fights, 85% takedown defense. I think the guy's got to win this fight. And he's a better striker. Yeah, he's going to be 26-5, in my opinion here. Lightweight division, UFC Vegas, 97. Yeah, just an extremely tough fight to predict there. As we go up and down this card, you're going to see that these fights are going to be close, and the matchmakers, this year especially, I've noticed a major difference in the matchmakers who have just made these fights really close. And you start to go through the resume, and it's almost like the resumes are mirrored. It's really, really interesting this year. And I'm sure that's on purpose to some degree, but even if it's by accident, they're doing a phenomenal job. Now, just in one fight, all of a sudden there's comments. I mean, a minute ago there was nobody in the chat room, and now I got to scroll way up. It's crazy. Chad Hero saying, if I can find it, why do this live? Why not do a video if you're not going to read the comments? Because one prediction ago, there was no one in there. Now everybody's in there. He says, "What's good, bro? So glad Schnell got an easier fight than Costa. I hope Schnell wins. That dude is a good person." Yeah. I mean, definitely probably an easier fight. Confusing, though, just because Cody Durden's getting it on late notice. And I for some reason, I think that's an advantage here. I just do. I think that's an advantage. Colostrum jumping back. What's up, bro? Who you got, Lima or Santos? So, Colostrum says, I think I will go with Santos. Everyone is doubting him, but the kid is good. Yeah, that's another good fight, too, in the prelims. Then he says, does a streamer do chat or not? Let's see what Colostrum says. If he defends me. He says, I was wondering that, though. Come on, Colostrum, you know better than that. You know I'm coming. Yeah, that's when he gets into this week better as a video. Who you got? Hamza versus Whitaker. Oh, nah, this is pre-recorded, so you guys are tripping today. But I got Hamza. Come on, man. You already know, #1 on the dude list. You know, when you're looking at like #1 pound for pound and then future predictions combined, favorite fighters, all that twisted into one. I got Hamza #1, man. I got Hamza #1. Hamza's #1. Chad Hero saying you should always Q&A first. It's not a bad idea. But listen, we went 15 minutes with no chat, right? So I'm just doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I peek over and everyone's like, where's he at? Why isn't he reading the comments? Why is he not in the chat room? I'm here. And all of a sudden it's jumping. So I'm in here. We could divert the show at any time. I mean, this is these are one of the easiest shows for me to do. One of my favorites to do because it really, we just going through the predictions. And if something jumps off at any point, we went into the news for about 10 minutes. The chat room jumps off. Hey, we're in there. Then we just get back to the predictions. It's no big deal. Say who you got, Hamza or Whitaker? Chad Hero, I got Hamza. I've been with Hamza since day one. Well, not day one. When he fought those 2 fights in the 10-day period, and he finished both, I'm like, okay, this guy's for real. And then you jump up to the tough fights against Gilbert Burns and Usman, and yeah, they didn't go great, but he won them. And then you see after he fought Gerald Meerschaert won 4 of the next 5. He finished him in 17 seconds. Beat Li Jingliang in 2 minutes. That guy went on to win the next 3 or 4, something like that. Right? I start to follow these guys after Hamza beats them, especially the quick finishes. And these guys tend to do well after the fact. And that's just all swinging towards Hamza for me. Colossian says, I did defend you. You see my comment about the live playing videos automatically. Yeah, I hear you, bro. I'm just playing. I just know that name, Colostrum. I'm like, I know Colostrum's going to defend me because he's been around. And he, honestly, for a while, and Colostrum knows this especially, but we'll go on a rant for 3 weeks about Hamza. It would be like Hamza on every podcast, in every title. And the chat room will be jumping. And then when we just get back to some of the regular week predictions. I mean, it's UFC Vegas 97. Doesn't get more regular than this. I mean, of course, we got Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady coming up on that prediction, but it's a regular week. People aren't jumping in the chat room. But if you start talking about Hamza, even if it's not in the title, I noticed today. Look at this. The chat room's jumping just because we said Hamza in the first 2 minutes of the video. I mean, if that's not AI's finest work, I don't know what is. Yeah. That's not AI. I don't know what it is. But listen, y'all stay in the chat room, and I'm coming back. Don't worry. But we got to get into a few more because there's some other good fights on this card. This is actually more predictions than normal because another fight that I believe is still in the prelims, but I just want to see this fight. I'm curious. Is Ryan Spann versus Ovens St. Preux. Check this out. In the light heavyweight division at UFC Vegas 97, you got Ryan Superman Spann taking on OSP, Ovens St. Preux. Now Spann 21-10, St. Preux 27-17. Look out. Spann's a tall guy, 2 inches taller too, at 6'5". They're both pretty tall. St. Preux's 41 now, Spann 33. Just a 1-inch reach advantage for OSP. He fights left-handed, Spann fights right-handed. Both guys just over 3 significant strikes per minute. No big difference there. Both guys like 1 takedown every 3 rounds. So this could be a slow-paced fight. Now Spann, 47% takedown defense. That's terrible. Lost 3 in a row too. It's a Nikita Krylov submission. Gave up 2 takedowns. Anthony Smith gave up a takedown, split decision. So Anthony Smith is slowing down. Bogdan Guskov KO'd him in the 2nd round. So this is not good. Before that, though, he beat Dominic Reyes. That's crazy. And Ian Kudalaba. Now he's kind of fallen off just a little bit. But OSP, again, 41, 67% takedown defense. Beat Kennedy Zachukwu by split decision. Lost to Felipe Lins by KO. And beat Mauricio Rua, Shogun Rua, by split decision. Without those 2 split wins, he could easily have lost 5 in a row. We wouldn't even be standing here or talking about this fight right now. So despite what it looks like on paper, being so close, I got to believe Ryan Spann wins this fight. He needs one badly, and this is the one to get it in. He's going to win this thing on the feet and take down defense, which is crazy to say, but that's what's going to happen in this fight. You know, OSP is going to try to pin him against the fence and power him up, but Spann's going to do a good job digging underhooks, separating, and keeping this fight standing, where I think he will have an advantage and move to 22-10, in my opinion. Like to see the KO, though. We'll see. Light heavyweight division, UFC Vegas, 97. Yeah, I remember doing that prediction. I was like, man, this is going to be a close fight. But Ryan Spann needs his victory badly, because I don't think he's done yet. I don't see him getting to the top. But I don't think he's done with fighting like a top 10 guys, top 5 guys even, like a number 5. So he just got to win a couple. And he's capable of that. And OSP, not a bad fighter. I just think Ryan Spann's better. I just think he's better. We'll see. We'll see. Another good fight. We got 3 left to go. It's crazy. Steve Garcia versus Kyle Nelson. People are talking about this fight, man. I mean, this is going to be a highly interesting fight. Featherweight division. We all love the featherweight division. USA versus Canada. 16-5 or 16-5. Need I say more? I mean, that's it. These predictions aren't easy, man. When you look at the overall record on the year and how well we're doing, not as good as last year. Like 10 fights down, 10 wins down, but still very good. And you look at these records and how close these fights are, it's crazy. So here's Steve Garcia and Kyle Nelson. In the featherweight division at UFC Vegas at 97, you got your boy Steve Garcia taking on tough guy, Kyle Nelson. Highly interesting, highly intriguing matchup in this one, to say the least. So let's jump right in. Garcia 16-5, Nelson 16-5. Look out. Look out. Steve Garcia 1 inch taller at 6 feet. He's 32. Kyle Nelson 33. Garcia's got about a 4-inch reach advantage. He fights left hand. Nelson switch stance. So that's going to be interesting. Garcia more active with 5 significant strikes per minute to 1.7 for Nelson. You would think Nelson has a big ground game, but not really. 1 takedown on average per 3 rounds. Same for Garcia. Oh, and I read that wrong. Okay. 5 significant strikes per minute to 3.7 for Nelson. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, now we got something. So let's get into it. So Garcia just a little more active than Kyle Nelson. Winning 4 in a row against Chase Hooper. Okay, that was smaller Chase Hooper. Now we're at Dembeek. KO. Well, 4 KOs in a row. Melquizal Costa and Sung Woo Choi. Oh boy, look out. Look out. I didn't realize that. Now, Nelson beating Bill Algeo by KO. Fernando Padilla, decision. Blake Builder, decision. So they're both trending in the right direction, but Steve Garcia's got a lot more upside to me. I just think he's going to be better in this fight. I like that he's got the reach advantage. Nelson is a switch stance fighter. So, that's always tough to deal with. They're both about the same age, but Garcia's punching at least slightly down. He's going to be taller than his opponent by a little bit. And he's landing 5 significant strikes per minute. So you're looking at like 75 plus by the end of the fight. Yeah, I'll take Steve Garcia to win this, if especially if it goes to a decision. Anybody can get caught, but I think this goes to a decision, in my opinion, and Steve Garcia wins for me the 17-5 featherweight division, UFC Vegas 97. Hey, let's go Steve Garcia. There's no doubt that that's a tough prediction. Kyle Nelson is a bad dude, but I got to go with Steve Garcia in this one. I like this guy, man. I like what he's about. I like what he's doing. He is a slight favorite, so you can make the case that, okay. But listen, he's a southpaw. I like that. 5 significant strikes per minute. I like that. Takedown every 3 rounds on an average fight. I like that. Could be 2 over 3 rounds, but, 1's not bad. So I like all those things about Steve Garcia. And he's American, so if there's an edge, I got to go with the USA. If there's just no other angle. But in this one, I would go with Steve Garcia anyway. Everybody getting down in the chat room. You got the poll up right now. We're about to get into Andrade versus Silva. Colostrum says Steve via KO. Steve Garcia versus Jean Silva. Yeah, that would be nice. Oh my gosh, that would be good. And Colostrum with the early pick says Natalia via decision. I hear you. Chad Hero. Steve Garcia is low-key one of the most entertaining fighters in the entire UFC. Yeah. And sometimes if it's close, you just go with the guy that you got a gut feeling is going to win, but that you also like. Right? And I realized myself years ago doing that. And then that's where the dude list was invented. Right? That's where the do we got the dude list? Let me see if we got it up here. Let me pull this. That's the Contender Series. We know that. But that's how this list was invented. Right? Hamza won because I believe he's going to beat everybody, but I also like him. So I don't see myself going against him against anybody in the world. So that's why I got to put him at number 1. John Jones, I like him against everybody. If he's for some reason had to face Hamza, which is never going to happen, I'm going to go with Hamza. So that's how Hamza gets the edge. You see how that there's no rhyme or reason there other than the fact that I just believe and like Hamza. That's how the dude list goes. So when you guys try to break this down by pound for pound, then you're getting away from the whole point of the dude list. And that's just, listen, list your favorite 5 fighters. For me, it's Hamza, John Jones, Alex Pereira, Islam Makhachev, and then Sean O'Malley slides in there. But look at Shavkat, man. He's coming. Do you see? So that's what I'm saying is like where Shavkat is right there. Future welterweight champ. Dricus is up there. But guess what? If he faces Hamza, he loses. See how this goes? Max Holloway above Ilya. Barely. I mean, that's going to be, oh my goodness, that's going to be a great fight. I would just love to see Max Holloway win. But Ilya Topuria is a bad dude. And if Holloway loses, he's going to fall. Even with that Justin Gaethje win, it's just not a lightweight fight. And then Sean Strickland's still sitting there at 10. Very easily could be out, though. But he's going to get a shot against Dricus, so we got to keep him there for now until we see what happens. And, that's the dude list, right? That's where the dude list came from. Let me know in the chat room, what's your dude list? How would you change mine? Definitely let me know that. Because that's where we want to go with the dude list is I want to see disagreement. No, I got this guy 2, not 3. Things of that nature. But listen, right now we're going to divert our attention to Jessica Andrade. Okay? Jessica Andrade. The great. Against Natalia Silva, the up-and-comer. Check this out. This is going to be crazy. Here we go. In the women's flyweight division at UFC Vegas 97, you got Jessica Andrade taking on Natalia Silva. And this is going to be an interesting fight and probably a very tough one to predict. So let's get right into it. Andrade, 26-12. Unbelievable. Natalia Silva, 17-5. So Andrade has been around a little longer, but Silva is really good. Undefeated right now in the UFC since entering. Silva's 3 inches taller, 5'4". She's 27. Andrade is just 32. So everybody slow down thinking she's like old and done. She's giving up 3 inches in reach to Silva. Silva fights left-handed. Andrade fights right-handed. So here's where things get interesting. And now Andrade has a lot of fights in the strawweight division, but she's landing 6.6 significant strikes per minute to 4.5 for Silva. She also lands nearly a takedown per round, but Silva has a 91% takedown defense. So she's going to want to keep the fight standing. And how will that go? If it goes Natalia Silva's way, will she be able to beat Andrade on the feet? Andrade is coming off the win over Marina Rodriguez. Split decision. Mackenzie Dern by a second round KO. That was eye-opening. And you almost forget, like, Andrade has won back-to-back fights. So everybody slow down. She's looking good in the flyweight division. Silva beating Vivian Araujo decision, but just landing 38 significant strikes. Beating Andrea Lee 70-43. No takedowns. Dominated by 27 significant strikes. KO'd Victoria Leonardo. Beat Teresa Bleda KO. Okay, great. But listen, this is Jessica Andrade. I know Silva's the big favorite in this fight, but you're going to have to show me. I just think, and I can't believe Andrade is almost a 3-1 or she's a 2-1 underdog, right? The dog is winning this one. Don't be fooled. In my opinion, Jessica Andrade is going to dominate on the feet. It might be close. It might go into the third round 1-1, but Andrade is going to win this fight. That's my belief. You're going to have to prove to me that you're coming out of nowhere and just going to beat Jessica Andrade. She's not 36 or 37. She's 32. Andrade wins this one to move to 27-12. Women's flyweight division. UFC Vegas. 97. I'm hurting for myself because I'm like, you almost can't win in this situation because it could go either way. I mean, Andrade is awesome. And when I saw she's just started, I'm thinking she's like 34, 35, right? Like she's going to start slowing down soon. She's only 32. And she's trying to figure out, which division is the best. I just got to go with Andrade. Even though, listen, I totally recognize that Natalia Silva is really, really good. I just got to go that way. Now, Chad Hero submitted his, favorite fighter. So this is good, all right? Number 1, Umar. Number 2, MVP. So I'm assuming Michael Venom Page, right? Not assuming, but that's what it is. Sandhagen, Poirier, Peter Yan. Okay, so now take that list, Chad Hero, and then now factor in, are you taking Sandhagen over everybody? Are you taking Umar against whoever Umar faces? Is he number 1 because you believe Umar beats everybody? Right? MVP, same thing. Poirier, does Poirier beat, is there any lightweights above Poirier? I don't think so. So you're saying Poirier beats, so this is the battle I go through. Right, when I'm making the predictions, is okay, maybe Poirier is one of my favorite fighters, but if I got Poirier versus Islam, who am I going to go with? If it's Islam, and that would be your pick in that situation, you got to move Islam above Poirier in a do-list style format. And that's why when people get on me about how are you going to say Hamza's number 1 pound for pound, you got all those factors going in like a prediction, right? Which then starts to change the 1 through 5 a little bit. And I noticed myself doing this, and I said, I need to come up with some type of list that I already know. Like, I'm taking John Jones over everybody, unless Hamza goes to heavyweight. And then I'm taking Hamza, and I'm dead real. I'm taking Hamza. Now, you know how I am about my picks. Take them seriously, especially the main event. Speaking of the main event, get into the poll right now, and let me know what you think, as we're getting into it right now. Here we go. Actually, we got to tune it up. But this is going to be Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady. And this is a great main event, even though it's at the Apex. I mean, this is still a big time welterweight main event. Let's get into it right now. In the welterweight division, your main event at UFC Vegas 97, you got your boy Gilbert Burns taking on Sean Brady. And this is going to be a very important matchup, to say the least. Burns 22-7, Brady 16-1. These are two high-level contenders. That's why it's the main event. Squaring off in this one. Now both guys stand 5'10". Burns getting up there, 38. The time is now. Brady 31. Brady 1-inch reach advantage, 72-71. Both guys stand right-handed. Sean Brady has a slight advantage on the feet, 3.8 significant strikes, at 3.3 for Burns. terms of the takedown game, Brady 3.3 per 3 rounds, so more than 1 every round on average. Burns gets 2 every 3 rounds. So the numbers are somewhat close because Burns has a lot more matchups against high-level guys than Sean Brady. But Burns just a 50% takedown defense. That's going to be a problem. He has lost back-to-back fights. Wow. Didn't realize that. Against Jack Della Maddalena. I forgot about that one. 3rd round KO. Against Bilal Muhammad. Decision. For that, he beat Jorge Masvidal and Neil Magny and lost to Khamzat Chimaev. So he's only won 2 of the last 5. Interesting. Sean Brady, on the other hand, came off a loss to Bilal Muhammad by KO in the 2nd round, which that guy's a champ now, right? Came back and beat Kelvin Gastelum by 3rd round submission. Didn't look really good on the feet, but didn't have to. He had 5 takedowns in 3 rounds, and that's the way he got the victory. So will he go after Gilbert Burns in the same manner? How do you rank Jack Della Maddalena and Sean Brady? I mean, could Gilbert Burns have lost to JDM but still beat Sean Brady? Sure. But Sean Brady is going to be a different guy now after losing to Bilal Muhammad, who again is now the champion. So that loss doesn't seem quite as bad, and it's the only loss on his record. The guy's 16-1. So I have to lean towards Sean Brady here, although inside I like to see Gilbert Burns win. I think he could still make a run at the title, but I forgot about that JDM loss. That's a big one. That's going to hurt him in the future, whichever way you go. I just think Sean Brady's a little bit better now. He's right in the prime. Gilbert Burns is getting older, and every time you see him, he's going to diminish. Even if it's just a little bit, he's going to diminish very slowly over time. So I like Sean Brady and the youth to get the job done here, and he's got better numbers. So in my opinion, Sean Brady wins this thing with relentless takedowns to move to 17-1. That's my opinion here. Welterweight division main event at UFC Vegas 97. Man, that's a tough pick because you know how good Gilbert Burns is. And Sean Brady is lost now. He's not invincible, right? So that's a tough pick, but I just got to go with Sean Brady, man. I just think the momentum is going to carry him in this fight. Gilbert Burns sliding, not a lot, but a little bit, but certainly capable of winning the fight. Make no mistake about it. And when it comes to the main event, we're never surprised. What's the record right now? I mean, it's been crazy. Let's pull up the last week. Yeah. Okay, so we're 17-12, man. That's crazy because Baralho got the win, yeah. Wow. 17-12, 215 and 138 overall. So this is a big week because at worst, we want to push this thing to plus 80 in the win column, right? Right now we're what, 70, or are we? No, we're, yeah. Yeah, we need to be plus 3 to go to 80. So what is there, 13 fights maybe? So we need to be 9-4, 8-5 roughly this week to get the job done. So that's where it stands. But 17-12, we'll take it after the 4-7 start. I mean, you remember that. It was just terrible. The first 11 main events, 4-7. Rough start to the year. But now we bounced back and we started rolling like we normally do. But, you know, it was, when you start out 4-7, you start almost second guessing your picks. Thank goodness I do them ahead of time. So I don't know the situation I'm going to be in when I'm making the pick, thankfully. Gyro, one of the two. I feel like Brady, a lock of the card. Wow. And that's saying a lot because, you know, Burns is really good. We all know this. And the fact he went toe-to-toe with Khamzat tells me, like, you know, listen, I can't ever count him out. Colostrum. Yeah, DDP beats them all except for Fluffy. Fluffy is a bad matchup for DDP. Yeah. Chad Hero says I got Umar by sub. You know, so we're going into all the situations, which is great. Colostrum saying, bro, if Khamzat and DDP fight, would you root for both? How do you see that fight playing out? Chad Hero, DDP has so much heart, but Khamzat has such a, yeah, exactly. I love both fighters. I would just want basically a great fight, he's saying. I know, man. I know. And if we can just get Khamzat to a title fight, it's going to be wild. Wild. to know that I don't care how he wins, but if he comes out of this fight victorious, he is the champ, and we have reached the pinnacle. And we got to beat some other people and then go to some other divisions. And I say we because I'm Team Hamza, man. I think he beats everybody. And maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. I mean, I'm on pins and needles when he fights. You already, like I said earlier, because I already know if Hamza falls, there's going to be massive comments like you've never seen before on this channel. People are going to be ready to get on me quick. You know, it's like the Dolphins playing for the Super Bowl, which, you know, for me, they played, what, one Super Bowl in my life and lost. So it's like if they play for the Super Bowl and for the 2 weeks leading up, I'm telling you, hey, Miami's winning. Hey, we're winning, and we, you know, we lose. It's just going to be terrible. That's how I feel about Hamza. Like, he's got to win at all costs or it's going to make me look bad. But listen, man, I appreciate y'all in the chat room. And when you guys are in there, it makes the show much more exciting. It even extends the show by 15, 20 minutes. Brings up, you guys are great about bringing up topics. I really appreciate it. Over the next 2 weeks, we got Vegas 97. We got Dana White's Contender Series Tuesday. We got UFC 306 at the Sphere Saturday. Oh, my goodness. And then back-to-back Contender Series as we get another week off. So we're just going to be doing a lot of pumping out predictions, and we're all the way through UFC 306 right now. So we're about to hit up the next two Contender Series because it's rolling right now. 4 weeks done out of 10. 5 guys signed last night. What is that? 12 and 5, 17 overall have been signed in 4 weeks. It's crazy. Now it's going to get tougher because what, they got 35 to 40 to give out, so they're right above half. So it's going to get tougher. There's going to be a week or two where we only get 2 or 3 in, but it's highly intriguing. But listen, that'll do it for now. This is your boy Chris Cross. This is episode 800, man. Grinding, trying to get to 1,000. It's going to take another year or two, but we'll see. For now, this is your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day, and God bless as always. Peace.